Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Virtual discussion on the topic Youth Perspective on the 48th OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. First, I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Astrid Nadia Rizkita as President of OIC Youth Indonesia, Mr. Johnny Madrizal as Secretary of Minister of Youth and Sports Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Tantan Taufik Lubis as NYC Indonesia Chairman and ICYF Vice President, Mr. Yunus Cholak as the ICYF NYC Students Club Project Coordinator, and also I'd like to say thank you and welcome to our speakers, Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali from Embassy of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Indonesia, Mr. Sahat Ui Hassan as founder, CEO at Pakistan Youth Advocacy Network and board member of ICYF ERC, and also to Dr. Hussein Kashiri as CEO at Youth Consultancy Parties and board member of ICYF. So tonight's virtual discussion is our umpteenth agenda during such as the Youth Advocacy Network, board member of ICYF ERC, board member of ICYF for Asia, and many more. And just like the MC said before about our topic tonight about the 48th OIC Council of Prime Ministers, the idea of this topic is because the Organization of Islamic Cooperation or OIC has just recently held 48th session of the CFM under the Dam Building Partnership for Unity, Justice and Development 2022. The session addressed many topics and the activities of the OIC General Secretariat on implementing the resolutions adopted on various issues in the Islamic world, including the issue of Palestine and Al-Quds Ash-Sharif and the dangerous development since the last CFM in 2020, and the session discussed several political files, namely Jammu and Kashmir, African issues, Arab regions, cooperation issues with international in non-member states, and various economic, cultural, social, humanitarian, and scientific issues. Therefore, on these virtual discussions, we gather some youth from different backgrounds to deliver their perspective, updates, and follow-up actions regarding these issues. And also, this agenda will be our last virtual discussion before Ramadan. So I hope you can enjoy the webinar and take some benefits and knowledge from our discussion. That's all from me. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Miss Elena, for the very excellent report giving about the purpose of the virtual discussion. And thank you. Now, without further ado, we are now going to continue for the next speaker, the welcoming speech. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Yanju Sahara, the Vice President of OIC Youth Indonesia. Time is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My Honorable Ms. Astrid, President of OIC, and Honorable Mr. Taufik Lubis, Vice President ICYF, and then Mr. Johnny Madrizal, Acting Secretary of Minister of Youth and Sport Republic Indonesia, and all of the speaker and all of my friends. Thank you. First of all, let's pray and thanks unto Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has been giving sometimes mercies and blessing, so we can attend and gather in this place in good condition and happy situation. Secondly, my peace and salutation always be given to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Within the framework of the model OIC Student Club Project Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum ICYF is organizing a virtual discussion and kick off of model OIC training with the topic Youth Response and Perspective So I am pleased that the same resolution refers to strengthen international effort to encourage global dialogue on the promotion of a culture of tolerance and peace at all levels, based on respect for human rights and for the diversity of religion or of why regret all act of violence against people on the basis of their religion or belief, by example of such act directed against place of worship, as well as all attack on religion place, sites and holy place in violation of international law. Um, the core values mentioned above are the generation around the world, namely peace and humanity. All my friend, I would like to quote Surah At-Taubah from the Quran. If any unbeliever seek your refuge, then given him refuge so that he may hear the word of God. Then take him off a safe place. What a religion of tolerance called on Muslim centuries ago to protect and lend a helping hand and provide protection to the vulnerable. Uh, the last in the closing, as we are only a few days away from the holy month of Ramadan, let us take many Ramadan. Listen about humility and compassion, dignity, justice, unity, and equality, then mutual respect and understanding. Um, Let us admire above all that we are indeed one humanity. You have my commitment to work with you to stem the bigotry and discrimination of Muslim based on religion or belief. Thank you very much. Wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for such an inspiring speech. Hopefully, it will give us more motivation to learn more and to create more insight in the next. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to the next speaker. And this time it is from Turkey. First of all, it is an honor, sir. So we'd like to give the floor to for the ICYF, the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, MOIC Student Club Project Coordinator, Mr. Yunus Cholak. Time is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone can see me and everyone can hear me clearly. And Assalamu alaikum, distinguished guests and dear participants. A very good day to one and all gathered here. And I have Secretariat and from Istanbul to all of you. First of all, on this auspicious occasion, I would like to warmly welcome you to the discussion under the theme Youth Perspective on the 48th session of Council of Foreign Ministers. I am excited to see all participants and panelists here, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome young delegates, future diplomats, and policymakers. Today's discussion aims at governmental organizations and the current issues in the OIC and youth with diplomacy at the university level. The objective is to address the importance of peacemaking in an international setting and how people and youth can play these roles. The virtual discussion emphasizes the potential of youth as ambassadors of unity, harmony, peace, justice, and development. Human resources in potential becoming peacemakers across the world. Also, in our sense, it is very important that the growing role of innovation and emerging technologies in stimulating growth and digital transformation should increase linkage and partnership among the youth. As ICYF, we are using technology and all means of communication for this purpose. For example, I can say that with more than 400 student clubs from 52 different countries, our main aim is gathering the youth from all the OIC member states without any judgments and prejudice by using all means of communications. MOIC Student Clubs project serves more than 1,000 bright-minded young Muslims alongside their members. So it's a unique chance for our young friends to collaborate and work together for a better future. So I am sure that this online meeting with all means of modern communications will be very beneficial for reveal youth perspective on the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of OIC. As conclusion, I would like to thank the OIC Youth Indonesia and National Youth Council of Indonesia's team for this fruitful online event. All of you and your ideas. And finally, I hope the discussion will be great and successful. Wish you all the best. Selamun Aleyküm.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Yunus Cholak from the ICYF. It is such an inspiring word. And so for all of us, hopefully it will deepen the friendship between Indonesia and Turkey, especially for the youth. So not just this program, hopefully in the next, especially in the near Ramadan, we can have more opportunities to collab more between Indonesia and Turkey, especially between OIC Indonesia and also with the ICYF. Thank you once again, Mr. Yunus Cholak from the ICYF, and a regard from Indonesia to all our friends in Turkey. Thank you, brother. Now we are going to move to our next speaker. He is actually one of the chairman of the NYC Indonesia, the National Youth Council, and also the vice president of Asian Region Group of ICYF. But since we just received word that he is ill, therefore he can only provide the speech without using any video. So I would like to invite all of us in this meeting. We give prayers of recovery to Mr. Tan Taufik Lubis, the Vice President of Asian Group ICOF. Hopefully he can be recovered faster, and especially he can be for his well-being. For Mr. Tan Taufik Lubis, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You are connected. Silakan, Mas Tolup.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlilhu fala hadiyalah. Yaqulu tabaraka wa ta'ala fi kitabihil aziz. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa tasimu bihablillahi zami'an wala Ikhwani fiddin arsadakumullah. Your Excellencies, Madam Maswana Bushra Ali, the Secretary, the Pakistan Embassy in Jakarta. Your Excellencies, my brother Sahad Al Hassan, He is not only my friend, but also the leader of Pakistan, the young generation of Pakistan, and board member of ICY PRC. Your Excellencies, my brother Yunus Solak, the ICYF, my coordinator. I often meet him in Istanbul, and I'm glad to meet again you here in the occasion of 48th OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. Your Excellencies, the Secretary Minister of Youth and Sport of Indonesia, Bang Joni Madrizal. He is also not only the representative of the government, but also our senior in the field of student movement and youth movement in Indonesia. And also, I would all my brother sister here. I saw in the list of the guests and the audience, there is the former president of Majlis Belia Malaysia, my brother Jupitri Joha. Greeting from my home. And also all the young leader, the member of OIC Youth and the NYC Indonesia. There is PMI, Luaslia, and etc. that I didn't mention one by one. And also I don't forget to say thank you to the President of OIC Youth Indonesia, Ms. Astrid Nadia Rizkita, not only for making this webinar tonight, but also for her leadership, her passion in keep connect Ummah, the Islamic youth around the world since 7 years ago until now, and OIC Youth and NYC Indonesia become the biggest organization in Indonesia and also in the ASEAN region, inshallah. Brother, sister, Arsadakumullah, as we know, there has just recently held the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers in Pakistan under the term Building Partnership for Unity, Justice, and Development. The session addressed so many topics and the activities of OIC Youth, of OIC, and OIC General Secretariat. Various issues in Islamic world, including the big issue like Palestine, Kashmir, Afghanistan, Xinjiang, and so many issues about culture, economic, and social humanitarian. I think it should be noted that the Council of Foreign Ministers is the main decision-making organ of OIC. The organization of OIC, ICYF, should be following the dynamic and the current information about the result of the 48th OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. Tonight, with all of us here, there is the young activists and also diplomats that we will be the opinion, the perspective of all of them in seeing the implementation of CFM in Pakistan. Many the Ummah issue were discussed there. Of course, it would be useful for Muslims around the world. Tonight, There is my brother Sahad and Your Excellencies, diplomat from the important point, and all the result of the CFM in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, Ihwan fillah arsadikumullah. Actually, I don't want to speaks too much because I'm still the recovery process, but for sure, ICYF, ASEAN region, and OIC Indonesia like this. It is the event for enlightenment to widely our what we call our knowledge, and also for the next program, for the next event, I'm always waiting. Thank you so much for kind attention. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ms. Tan Taufik Lubis, for providing the inspiring speech. Thank you very much, sir. We pray, hopefully you get well soon, sir. We pray, hopefully we can able to meet again after you get recovery faster, so we can discuss more of the event in the future. Thank you very much, sir. So that's conclude for the first session. For the welcoming speech, I would like to thank all the welcoming speaker. Thank you very much for the opening speech. We hope that it gives us more inspiration, give us more motivation, especially for the next session, so that we can able to learn more, study more, so that we can able to use it as our own model to become knowledge for all of us. Thank you very much. Before I'm going to give the floor to the moderator for the second session, I would like to give some information to all the participants and also give some a little bit of rule background. I would like to give you that a warning that please, for all the participants in the webinar, please follow the instruction from the moderator, especially how you conduct question, how you can ask some question in the chat box, for example, so that the discussion in the second session will be proceed smoothly without any delay, and also can be enjoyable for all the participants here. And also would like to give some information for all the guest of speaker, panelist speaker in the second session. I have activated the share screen in the Zoom. So if Mrs. panel speaker would like to share screen presentation during his or her speech, you can able to do so. I have activated for all the speaker, so you can able to use share screen function. So that's enough info for myself. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to give the floor to the moderator of the second session, which is a very brilliant very brilliant person. She is the alumni of Pakistan in her school years, and also the alumni of the National MOIC Pakistan 2018 Karachi, a former secretary of Java Moon, the Model United Nations, and also the board member at the Asian African Youth Government today, and also the vice chair of Indonesia National Youth Council, and also the MOIC country coordinator of Indonesia, and the master student at the School of Government and Public Policy, and she is our president in OIC Youth Indonesia. I would like to give the floor to Ms. Astrid Nadia Rizkita. Time is yours.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope I'm audible. Thank you for the very kind introduction, Mr. Master of Ceremony, Mr. Diaz, And I would also like to greet all the guests and participants, especially to the team. I greet Ms. Elena, Mr. Yunus Cholak as the Model OIC Student Clubs project coordinator of ICYF, and our senior, Mr. Tantan Taufik Lubis, who is the chairman of National Youth Council Indonesia and also the founder of OIC Indonesia. And also all the esteemed panelists. If this is visible, it has been mentioned by the speakers before me on the significance of the topic, and that we will be discussing about the past 48th session of OIC Council of Foreign Ministers. So this is actually a part of our routine discussion that we discuss on, we are in a very highly, increasingly interconnected world. Youth are becoming more and more aware of international relations, about current issues, and it has become some sort of a drive for us at OIC Indonesia to share about the OIC, because it is the second largest inter-organ that the world is facing, that countries are facing, the ongoing conflicts that we are facing is actually afflicting the OIC member states. And actually, in terms of diplomacy, if we become more and more acquainted with one another, if we have more commonalities, like, for example, Indonesia and other countries, more commonalities as members of UN, as members of OIC, as members of other platforms such as non-aligned movement, it should become easier for us to address issues. And our speakers that are gathered here will share their perspectives from their amazing backgrounds, from their experience. Thank you for your time to join us. First, we have Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali. She's the Second Secretary at Embassy of Islamic Republic of Pakistan to the Republic of Indonesia. And as the representative of the Embassy of Pakistan here, she will share about the key roles of Pakistan in OIC throughout the years. Pakistan, as we know, is one of the founding members of the OIC. So to mention about the importance of the unity of the Ummah, even at the UN level before the inception of the OIC, and as well as the proceedings and results of the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers and the way forward. Before giving the floor to her, we'd like to introduce her. Foreign Service of Pakistan, or Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and she has joined the 42nd Common Training Program. She holds a master's degrees in Human Resource Management. She has also attended short courses on IR and Diplomacy in Clydesdale Institute of International Relations in Netherlands and Bandaranaike International Diplomatic Training Institute in Sri Lanka. She completed her German language training from Goethe Institute Berlin. And during her career, she has served Assistant Director in South Asia, PP and PD and Deputy Director Overseas Pakistanis Division in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Pakistan. And currently, she is serving in the Embassy of Pakistan, Jakarta as Second Secretary, and also dealing with ASEAN, consular, political, community welfare, the Foreign Service of Pakistan as a diplomat. She has experience in leading public sector organization in Pakistan. And we're glad to have also balance in terms of our panel speakers. We have women representation, and we're still actually in the Women's Month in March. So without any further ado, would like to give the floor to Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali to speak. Ms. Masuma, you may have the floor.
Thank you so much, Astrid. I hope I'm audible for all of you. Assalamu alaikum and good evening or almost good night, everybody. First of all, let me tell you that it gives me immense pleasure and an honor to be part of this platform. And I really thank OIC Youth for providing me this opportunity and a platform to interact with the vibrant and dynamic youth, especially Astrid has quite rightly pointed out that I'll be discussing with all of you regarding the role of Pakistan throughout the years of OIC and what were the outcomes and the proceedings and results of 48th session of Council of Foreign Ministers that was held in Pakistan on 22nd and 23rd March. So a lot of you has already mentioned the first moderator of the session, and the second one also has already mentioned. Pakistan has been one of the founding members of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and that's why there is a bit of a problem with my screen, so I'm unable to change the slides. So just give me a minute and bear with me. Is that okay if I just continue the slides on my... Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, that is fine.
Sure. Thank you so much and sorry for the inconvenience. So Pakistan is the second largest organization. Pakistan gives importance to OIC, which is the second largest organization after the United Nations. It's a very important international organization with a membership of 57 states, which are spread over 4 continents. Why is it so important for us? Because it is a collective voice of Muslim world to safeguard and protect the interest of the Muslim world in the spirit of promoting international. Know because this is the forum of OIC Youth. So we are well aware that organization was established upon a decision of the historical summit, which took place in Rabat on 25th September 1969. And over the last 40 years, the membership has grown from 30 founding members to 57 states. As regards to Pakistan's contribution towards OIC is concerned, Pakistan, as Astrid pointed out, is a founding member of OIC and it attaches special importance to this organization. Why? Because Islamic virtues of amity and brotherhood. And we believe that promoting solidarity and cooperation between members of the Islamic Ummah is not only a foundational basis of our foreign policy, but it is also a part of our faith. And these were the guiding principles which were provided to us by the founding father of our country, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who described Pakistan's policy towards Islamic states as of friendship and goodwill. So over the years, Pakistan remained true to those ideals. Is representative of the fact that only 2 months after joining the UN, Pakistan voted against the UNGA resolution on the partition of Palestine, and we termed it as gross injustice to the Palestinian people. So Pakistan's contribution to OIC throughout the years has been quite important. Pakistan has a proud history of hosting major OIC events, including summits and councils of foreign ministers meetings. We hosted the second OIC summit in Lahore in February 1974. We had an extraordinary OIC summit being held in Islamabad in 1997 on the occasion of Pakistan's Golden Jubilee. Pakistan has also hosted the OIC CFMs on 4 occasions, in December 1970, in May 1980, in April 1993, and in May 2007. And the first and the 17th extraordinary sessions of OIC CFM were held in Islamabad in January 1980 and December 2021, which was just held the extraordinary situation that arose in Afghanistan. It was our distinct privilege to host the 48th Council of Foreign Ministers in Islamabad on 22nd and 23rd March 2022. And this session was very important for us because it coincided with the 75th anniversary celebrations of Pakistan's independence. And there are a few things that I would also like to mention, that why Pakistan gives importance to OIC due to the challenges that Muslim Ummah is facing right now. As you all know, one of the biggest challenges that we face right now is Islamophobia. Islamophobia in the West is of particular concern to Pakistan, and it has played a leading role in flagging this issue. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, has also mentioned it on numerous occasions, and he has raised his voice on numerous occasions against and the measures to counter Islamophobia. You all are well aware that recently United Nations passed a resolution to combat Islamophobia, and this resolution was sponsored by Pakistan on behalf of OIC. So Pakistan's contribution has also been important, that during our chairmanship previously in 2007-2008, we had negotiations on the new OIC Charter, which is a manifestation of our conviction that the organization must be kept attuned to the dynamic and fast evolving needs of our time. So I'll move towards the next next part of my presentation, and I hope it's I'm not sharing my slides right now, so I hope it makes sense and all of you are listening to it. The next portion is the 48th session of Council of Foreign Ministers. As you all know, the theme of this session was partnering for unity, justice, and development. Why we coined this theme? Because as you all know, that Islamic world is faced with a lot of challenges. The people of Palestine and the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir continue to be deprived of their right to self-determination. Then there is a rising tide of Islamophobia, which is threatening the Muslim communities across many parts of the world. Then there is a Afghan crisis. Millions of our Afghan brothers confront an uncertain future at the hands of hunger and during our Council of Foreign Ministers chair, we are also the chair of the Council of Foreign Ministers, Pakistan sincerely endeavors to promote unity among member states. And we focus on the cause of justice for Islamic people. And we believe that to achieve the mutually reinforcing goals of prosperity and development for all OIC member states, a common voice is the need of the hour. So these were the priorities on the basis of which we coined the theme of partnering for unity, justice, and development, to address all those challenges. So the range of issues, as I discussed with all of you just now, it was both broad-based and diverse. So our discussions during the 48th session encapsulated matters of peace and security, economic development, cultural and scientific cooperation, and revitalizing the role of the OIC. There were more than 100 resolutions. Those were adopted during the session. And the session also provided an opportunity to take stock of and review the decisions taken during the 17th extraordinary session to alleviate the urgent humanitarian situation in Afghanistan. So basically, 48th CFM proved to be a landmark session in our combined efforts to chart a joint Islamic way forward. As far as the proceedings of the 48th CFM are concerned, Pakistan was more than delighted to host OIC in Pakistan because it coincided with Pakistan Day 2022 and our anniversary celebrations. This is the 75th year of independence of Pakistan. So this year was also very important, and organizing this session in this year was also very important for us. Overall, there were 46 ministerial level delegations who participated, 800 delegates who attended, 140 resolutions were adopted, out of which 20 resolutions were sponsored or co-sponsored by Pakistan. There were sessions, there were keynote speakers in the occasion, including our Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Imran Khan, our Foreign Minister, His Excellency Mr. Shah Mahmood Qureshi. There were the key remarks from the Saudi Foreign Minister as well. During the proceedings, our Prime Minister Imran Khan said that Pakistan would promote partnership and unity for strengthening the voice of the Muslim world as the chair of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Council of Foreign Ministers, and would develop mechanism for implementation of resolutions passed during the Islamabad meeting. So now coming towards the key outcomes of 48th CFM, as you all highlighted earlier, that CFM encompass a lot of important issues that Muslim Ummah is facing right now. So the declaration, Islamabad Declaration, basically included all of those issues that are being faced by Muslim Ummah, and CFM jointly declared their views on them. So I'll just highlight the key issues that are part of the Islamabad Declaration. First of all, the first and foremost issue, which was a part of the declaration, was the issue of Palestine. OIC CFM jointly re-emphasized the centrality of the question of Palestine and Al-Quds Ash-Sharif for the Muslim Ummah, and reaffirmed its principled and continued all-level support to the Palestinian people to regain their legitimate national rights, including their right to self-determination and independence of the state of Palestine along the 1967 borders with Al-Quds Ash-Sharif as its capital. The most important issue, the other important issue which was highlighted in the Islamabad Declaration and all the leaders jointly and unanimously agreed upon, was the issue of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The leaders renewed their unwavering solidarity with the people of Jammu and Kashmir and expressed their full support to their right of self-determination, and massive violations of their human rights in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir by the Indian occupation forces were strongly condemned. The leaders also reiterated rejection of India's illegal and unilateral action since August 5, 2019, aimed at altering the demographic composition of the occupied territory and suppressing the realization of right of self-determination of Kashmiris. It was jointly declared that the final settlement of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute in accordance with the UN Security Council resolution is indispensable for durable peace in the region. And the leaders called for, number one, reverse they called upon India to reverse its unilateral illegal measures instituted since 5th August, cease its suppression and human rights violation against the Kashmiris, halt and reverse attempts to alter the demographic structure and to redraw electoral constituencies in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and take concrete and meaningful steps for full implementation of the UN Security Council resolutions on Jammu and Kashmir. I would also like to highlight here that on the sidelines of this session, OIC contact group on Jammu and Kashmir also met, and a comprehensive joint communique was also adopted unanimously, in which the endorsement of Pakistan's position was made on various dimensions of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir issue, including legal, diplomatic, human rights, humanitarian, and peace and security dimensions. And our foreign minister on this occasion stressed that since its illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August 2019, India has accelerated denial of right and freedom to Kashmiris. I would like to mention that this communique is also available on our spokesperson Mofa's Twitter handle, and all of those youngsters who are interested in knowing further details about it, they can go and view the communique as well. Some other issues that were highlighted in the Islamabad Declaration included the peace and security of South Asia, in which the leaders expressed grave concern over the violation of Pakistan's airspace, threat to passenger aircraft, and dangers to peace and security in South Asia arising from the launch of supersonic missile on 9th March 2022 by India. As you all are aware, that India launched a supersonic missile on 9th March 2022 and violated Pakistan's territory. And later on, they apologized and admitted that it was a mistake. And for that, the leaders called on India to fully abide by international law and norms of responsible state behavior and conduct a joint probe with Pakistan to accurately establish the facts. And the leaders acknowledged Pakistan's pivotal role as an anchor of stability in South Asia and commended its role in efforts for promotion of regional peace based on the UN Charter principles. The other important issue, which is a serious concern for all Muslim Ummah, is the issue of Afghanistan, not just for Muslim Ummah, but it's a major challenge for the international community to look upon, is the issue of Afghanistan. So the leaders commended the decisions that were taken in the 17th extraordinary session of OIC Council of Foreign Ministers in Islamabad, which was held on 19th December 2021. And then they looked over the fact that the operationalization of the Humanitarian Trust Fund has been done so far. And in this regard, they appreciated the pivotal role of the Islamic Development Bank. And the leaders further appreciated the first important contribution received in the trust fund from Nigeria. And CFM also reaffirmed the importance of ensuring the fact that the territory of Afghanistan is not be used as a platform or safe haven by any terrorist group, in particular Al-Qaeda, Daesh and its affiliates, and TTP, and urged the international community to remain cautious against the possibility of incitement and the role of spoilers in this peace and stability process. Another important issue that was highlighted, and this is also the major outcome, is the issue of Islamophobia. The leaders not only expressed their deep concern over the rising trend of Islamophobia and anti-Muslim hatred, but they also expressed the renewal of their commitment to promote and uphold the rights of Muslim communities and minorities in non-OIC member states. It was also decided to request the OIC Secretary General and the Council of Foreign Ministers Chair to engage the managements of social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, in order for them to take institutional and technical measures to filter and remove any content that incited violence and hatred against the persons and communities based on their religion, belief, or ethnicity. The leaders welcomed the adoption of UN General Assembly resolution proclaiming 15th March as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. And the leaders also welcomed the decision of OIC to appoint a special envoy of the Secretary General on Islamophobia to lead a collective effort and institutional engagement with the international community. OIC CFM also jointly denounced the systematic and widespread policy of discrimination and intolerance against Muslims in India, which is also a very important issue and is being highlighted nowadays, which has led to the political, economic, and social marginalization of Muslims in India. So the leaders expressed that they were deeply alarmed by the most pernicious attacks on the Muslims' identity in India, as manifest in the discriminatory laws and policies targeting the hijab. And they called upon India to immediately revoke such discriminatory laws, ensure the rights of Indian Muslims, and protect their religious freedom. OIC CFM also touched upon some other international issues, including reaffirming their solidarity with Mali, Afghanistan, Somalia, Sudan, Union of Comoros, Djibouti, Bosnia, people of Jammu and Kashmir. And the leaders also welcomed the end of the armed conflict between the Republic of Azerbaijan and the Republic of Armenia. The leaders condemned the terrorist attack and aggression against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. And the leaders expressed solidarity with the Yemeni people and called for immediate cessation of attacks on civilians. And the leaders expressed deep concern at the situation of Ukraine. And the leaders also strongly condemned the atrocities perpetrated against the Rohingya Muslim community in Myanmar. Leaders also touched upon the issue of COVID-19 and encouraged Muslim states to promote joint research and capacity building initiatives and to enhance cooperation and knowledge sharing on vaccines, diagnostics, therapeutics, and protective equipment. The leaders also jointly welcomed in the field of finance and economy, the new general allocation of $650 billion special drawing rights by the IMF to unlock much needed liquidity, and proposed that 50% of this unutilized SDRs of developed countries be channeled to the developing countries most in need, including OIC member states. The other important issue which was highlighted was the issue of combating corruption, in which the leaders welcomed the final report of UN High-Level Panel on International Financial Accountability, Transparency and Integrity, and its recommendation. The leaders also welcomed the formation of an intergovernmental expert group, which is a very important development, that OIC has formed an intergovernmental expert group in the 48th CFM to review and finalize a draft OIC Anti-Corruption Convention as a framework for cooperation in the recovery and return of stolen assets in line with the relevant international conventions. Leaders also touched upon the issue of climate change. And lastly, since this is the OIC Youth Forum, so I would also like to highlight that what was the message for the youth in this 48th CFM session. Leaders welcomed the initiative of the Prime Minister of Pakistan, His Excellency Imran Khan, to establish Rahmatul Alameen Authority. As you, I would like to bring it to your knowledge that our Prime Minister has approved the formation of an authority which is named as Rahmatul Alameen Authority, which would promote the noble personality of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a role model, and it will encourage our youth and children to follow the Holy Prophet's true message. And they further acknowledged the growing role of innovation and emerging technologies in stimulating growth and digital transformation, and expressed shared resolve to promote linkages and partnership in the OIC countries. So in short, I can say that 48th CFM session was quite a comprehensive session. It liked to touch upon almost every issue that is being faced by the Muslim Ummah and the international community in general. So the major outcome out of this was the Islamabad Declaration. There were also the meetings of the contact groups, and as I already told you, that there were 140 resolutions that were passed at the end of this session. Overall, it was a very successful session, and we were very happy and more than delighted to host all the delegates from the Muslim Ummah to participate in this session. I hope I made sense, and I hope you had something to learn with this session. And once again, at the end of the session, I would like to thank all of you for listening to me patiently, and I'll be looking forward to the questions, if any. Thank you so much, Astrid. That is all from my side.
Thank you so much, Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali, for your very comprehensive and insightful, let's say, coverage and sharing of the proceedings, but also the background on the contributions, the involvement of Pakistan to the OIC organization. And yes, it has been a very fruitful conference. It is actually an understatement because just in 2 days, 140 resolutions, and many are also sponsored by Pakistan. It covers a lot of aspects, and that also we're just approaching the end of March. So there's a lot of, we believe that there are a lot of follow-up things to come, like the way forward, what next after the sessions. And a very interesting, but not only one, but there are many interesting aspects that we got from the sessions, and new initiatives such as the anti-corruption at the OIC Intergovernmental Expert Group, which is something that is very visionary and novel in the OIC level. Climate change has also been one of the issues that are pushed forward by Pakistan, not only in the international level, but also has been exemplified in the domestic. We have been following many initiatives such as the tree planting in a massive scale, and also other commitments. Also interesting about the Rahmatan lil Alamin authority, which was actually shared, and there are many backgrounds to that, in which in the previous years also Prime Minister Imran Khan actually shared that even not only for the Muslims but for the whole public to know Islam, it's important to highlight about the life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That is one of the ways to actually combat Islamophobia, one of the ways to exemplify from the best creations. And it has also been exemplified even before this 48th Council of Foreign Ministers. Back in 2019, Pakistan formed a coalition with 2 other countries on Islamophobia, namely Malaysia as well. So we learned that this has been a very comprehensive process, and the way has been very well thought out and executed. And there are many questions that we believe the audience would like to ask, and even myself, but we have to move to the next speaker first. So thank you so much, Ms. Masuma. The next speaker is Mr. Sahatul Hassan. He's actually one of our seniors in the OIC Youth Forum. He is the founder of Pakistan Youth Advocacy Network and board member of Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum Eurasian Regional Center, or ICYF ERC. He has a master's degree in gender studies and postgraduate certificate in international development from Canada. He's also working with United Nations Association in Canada. He has received the Youth Excellence Award from the President of Pakistan. He has been part of the official youth delegate of Pakistan to the United Nations, the Commonwealth, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And in this occasion, he'll be highlighting about the youth perspective, about the 48th Council of Foreign Ministers, his perspective as youth, with his background in multilateral and especially in intergovernmental organization as a youth activist, and the perspective about the role of Pakistan, and his perspective as the ICYF ERC board member. Hopefully we can get more insight about perhaps any follow-up action for the youth, right? So without any further ado, we'd like to give the floor to Mr. Sahatul Hassan. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stred, for your kind introductions. And thank you so much for having me today. And I would like to congratulate to OIC Youth Indonesia. I would also like to extend congratulations for this timely session. I would also like to extend my prayers for early and complete recovery to Brother Tantan. Again, as Excellency Ms. Masuma has already covered almost everything that I might have covered, but thank you so much again. It was a great insight. But again, I think before I start, I should definitely acknowledge the fact that Government of Pakistan, and particularly the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, made it possible in 2 days. Usually this kind of conference organized for 4 days, and having the COVID restrictions and of course the current geopolitical and security situation and aspects in the world that we know very well in the Caucasus or in the Europe. Without further ado, honorable speakers, organizers, and dear youth, young people, I would mostly focus on the youth perspective, as Excellency Masuma has already covered the facts and figures of the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers. So with few facts, today's world is changing, politically, economically, socially, and of course technology has become an integral part of development and everyday life. Even today's session is we are actually on using the technology for this communication, which is a great. But at the same time, of course, there are limitations. And when it comes to young people, there are over 1.8 billion young people in the world today, and 90% of this population is from the developing countries. If we focus on the OIC member states host approximately 28% of the world's total youth population, and this number is projected to reach 30.7% by 2030, which means that young population in OIC geography or in the Muslim world is increasing. And therefore, their role has become important, not only to raise their issues, but at the same time to contribute into the development of the national as well as regional and of course the OIC level. And in that case, the ICYF has an important role. And if I keep in mind the Islamabad declaration of the 48th session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, and if we look at the title, which is very important, it says partnering for unity, justice, and development, which means that we do, as an OIC and particularly as a Pakistan leading the organization as a chair for this year in particular, will be focusing on this theme. And if we look and read through the declaration, youth has been mentioned in 2 paragraphs. And I was very delighted to see that at least it is being recognized by the world leaders, even though there is a huge opportunity that can be covered by the leaders. But again, we have a lot of other issues to handle. So if we look at the few, I have highlighted some of the paragraphs which comes with the very interesting points which we as a young people from the Muslim world can connect and contribute in coming days. And of course, as an ICYF and the board member of ICYF ERC, I would definitely love to not only support but also to see how we can contribute mutually and collectively. So one of the paragraphs says people to people connectivity, deepen pathways for tourism, academic and research linkages, which is directly linked with the young people. So we as a young people can definitely contribute this kind of avenues and opportunities created by the OIC communications. The second paragraph, which talks about the young people, says about the growing role of innovation and emerging technologies in simulation, growth, and digital transformation, and express our OIC CFM shared resolve to promote linkages, partnership, including through OIC platforms, with a particular emphasis on the young people or the youth. So it means that OIC has, or the leaders of OIC has this in mind, that young people should play their role particularly into the technologies and education. So therefore, I think as an ICYF board member, it is very important that we continue doing advocacy, trying to communicate with our governments, at the same time taking our own steps that we have been taking since we have started the Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum back in 1994. Besides this, we also know that Pakistan will be the chair, and we are trying our level best to work with the government of Pakistan to see how we can host an international event focusing on MOIC. At the same time, focusing on the agenda of this year's theme. So hopefully in this year, government of Pakistan will be hosting an international event to cooperate with other international organizations in collaboration with ICYF to promote peace, harmony, and cooperation in terms of young people. So I would conclude here, because I think it would be good to have more questions on this kind of aspects. So thank you very much for listening me and taking your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Satul Hassan, for your speech and your key points, especially pertaining to the 48th CFM on the youth issues, about how the youth can contribute in the OIC level more effectively, and also the follow-up or the way forward and the what next aspect of the 48th CFM regarding the youth. And we believe that it's very important not only for the youth to be informed, but also to have agency and be not necessarily be a part of the process, but at least give insight. And there are many potentials that the youth can tap into. And again, thank you so much for your speech. Now we proceed to the third speaker. The third speaker is Dr. Hussein Kashiri, all the way from Iran. And Dr. Hussein Kashiri graduated from Firdousi University of Mashhad, Faculty of Human Science, Department of Foreign Languages. He has 2 master's degrees in the field of European history and communication science from Islamic University of Tehran. He also holds a PhD in political science, international relations, and also has various and remarkable experience as expert in international affairs. He's currently the board member of Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum representing Asia, and he is the CEO of Ma'rifat Pardis, a non-governmental and non-political organization active in the field of youth, tourism, local development. And also he has been giving lectures in political science and international relations, tourism management in different universities, and gained various awards and certificates, among which is the certificate of the best expert in Iran, public relations, human resource management of Metropolis International Organization. And he'll also be sharing his perspective as ICYF board member, also his take on youth in OIC, the 48th CFM, and his key points as well. So without any further ado, we welcome Dr. Hussein Kashiri. You may have the floor.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, esteemed guests, panelists, my dear colleagues from ICYF, and dear participants. It's my honor and pleasure as a member of this panel. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Pakistan for hosting 48th OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, CFM, and also I would like to express my sincere thanks from my brothers and sisters in Indonesia OIC section for arranging this fruitful meeting. Actually, you know, we have now a long vacation and holiday in Iran for Nowruz, and I would like to congratulate all of you the start of spring, especially who celebrate Nowruz in the geography of Islamic countries. But in respect of this invitation, I will present here and express some points about this very fruitful topic. I think dear panelists mentioned important issues and keywords. Something I want to mention is the importance of these kind of meeting and initiatives that is very productive and very fruitful for engagement of youth in political topics. For political systems to be representative, all parts of society must be included. When young people are disengaged from political processes, a significant portion of the population has little or no voice or influence in decisions that affect group members that live in the countries. A key consequence in the undermining of political systems representativeness. To make a difference in the longer term, it is essential that young people are engaged in formal political processes and have a say in formulating today's and tomorrow's politics. Inclusive political participation is not only a fundamental political and democratic right, but also is crucial to building a stable and peaceful societies and developing policies that respond to the specific needs of younger generation. For young people to be adequately represented in the political institutions, processes, and decision making, and in particular in, for example, in elections, in the give viewpoints about the, for example, 48th OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, is very good to promote them about the political issues and familiar with the concept of importance keywords in OIC geography. So I would like to mention in this time, it is very important for us to promote this kind of fruitful and initiatives in the OIC. And also I would like to suggest some indicators about first, I think that we should express and clarify informal and formal participation of young in politics. We should clarify some indicators in this issue, and we should promote our young people in OIC countries about the sensitivity of the concept of engaging in policy making. Also, the benefits of youth as an observer in this issue. So when we feel that the young generation all observe us in this field, it is very fruitful for two sides to promote the concept of politics in the countries with pay attention to young leaders, also young generations viewpoints. Another thing I think that we should pay attention to this concept is train and support young parliaments, as we have these goals in Iran to support of young council at local level to promote and empower young generation to engage in policy making, also give their viewpoints and their comments about the topics in the geography of Islamic countries. Also, we should pay attention to these benefits of young and invite these young people to visit and intern in national parliaments, in political meetings, to observe the decision maker comments and such a thing. So I think that in the ICYF and also in the geography of OIC now, we have very good program in this field, like have a model of OIC, and also we host 2 times in Iran this kind of model to engage of young people in the as a make a decision to promote their abilities and knowledge about the political and social concept in these very important geography. So I think that we can develop this kind of discussions, and I would like to congratulate about this meeting, because as soon as the 48th meeting of the foreign affairs, we have this kind of discussion between young generations to pay attention the keywords of final statements, and to pay attention to the concept of politics in geography of OIC. So sorry, because I was in the trip and just to, as I mentioned, to respect of this meeting, to my brothers and sisters in Indonesia, especially my dear brother Tantan Taufiq, the Vice President of ICYF, just to highlight and emphasize on to the very important of this meeting as a virtual for emphasize of the keywords of 48th Council of Foreign Ministers, CFM, in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hussein Kashiri, for your insights, your enlightenment as well about your take on the 48th session of the CFM. Also, your perspective about like how the youth should or could be involved and for future events, and also within the framework of the 48 CFM, as currently the chair is Pakistan. And key points about the importance of starting to introduce the youth to decision-making mechanisms, to train youth to be acquainted and familiar with the political process, such as training and support for young parliamentarians, shared from his insight and experience in the local level, and also the importance of youth to be involved in many activities as possible, so that they can have that insight and later on the agency to not only speak for themselves, but speak on behalf of the people they lead as future leaders. Because speaking about youth, I mean, there are various definitions on the age range, but perhaps in terms of generations, we have Generation Z, Generation Y, and Millennials. So these are loose definitions. And actually, we really are grateful for the insights from panelists, because it's important as youth to have the platform to learn from people, from experts, from seniors that are experienced in the field, referring to the ladder of participation, which was introduced by Roger Hart. So with that, we are open for a question and answer session, and perhaps those who would like to ask would just kindly type in the chat box, or you may also raise your hand so that we can give the screen to you to speak. In the meantime, while we wait for more questions, I have a question for the speakers. Firstly, to Your Excellency, to Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali, representing the Foreign Affairs. So from a diplomat perspective, in terms of the follow-up of the event, I mean, 140 resolutions and very efficiently done within 2 days. So what are the mechanisms of the follow-up? Because we observe that from the reports, from the release that have been shared very timely in the social media by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Islamabad, also the press takeout or the press conference from His Excellency Foreign Minister of Pakistan, and also the Secretary General of OIC. They share it in a very timely manner, and many issues that have been discussed, such as the Palestine issue, the Jammu and Kashmir, also issues in Africa, in Arab region, also pertaining to security, and down to the other issues focusing on economic, social, and cultural. But these issues also, some of them address those that perhaps need the boost or the highlight from other intergovernmental organizations that have more members, such as perhaps the Security Council on important issues pertaining to security. Also regarding Palestine, I mean, the deadlock has been in the UN. I mean, OIC, as the initial reason to be, or the initial founding was due to the arson of Masjid Al-Aqsa. So Muslim countries gather to unite. So OIC has always been with Palestine, but what about the let's say influence or the bargaining power of OIC as an organization in helping to boost that, for example, to the UN, as well as the Afghanistan? Well, thankfully, it has been very swiftly done by Pakistan to convene OIC countries in emergency meeting end of last year, and gained the initiative for funding in the name of OIC countries. But other issues like the Rohingya and others. So firstly, my question would be about the follow-up mechanism, like about the proceedings of the meeting and how usually the OIC as an organization, and in this case, the chair of 48th CFM is Pakistan. So has there been any framework or plan to help boost these issues to other platforms for more support, and then more highlight and agency for further action and response? So perhaps that will be my question to Your Excellency.
That's a very important question, Astrid. First of all, your question has basically two dimensions. So at first, I would like to convey to you the follow-up mechanism that any international organization follows. Maybe it's United Nations or maybe it's OIC. When we talk about OIC has its own full-fledged secretariat, which is being operated from Jeddah, right? They have their own divisions, departments, and then once the resolutions are passed, obviously they're being sent. The traditional process is that they are being sent to the respective departments, and the departments start working over the follow-up process. So once we as diplomats, when we are trying to interact with these organizations, for example, I'm here in Indonesia and I interact with ASEAN. So there are multiple forums of ASEAN that keep on interacting with the sectoral dialogue partners and the strategic partners and everybody. So every department starts working on the follow-up right away, soon after the resolutions are passed. But how the diplomatic process works, in the diplomatic process, the results are not very immediate. You can't get result in a day. Resolution is passed and the very next day the follow-up starts. It doesn't happen like that. And secondly, when an international organization raises its voice, the most important objective of any international organization is to raise its voice. We have plenty of resolutions of United Nations, General Assembly, and the Security Council about the situation of Kashmir. The most important thing that an international organization can do is raising the voice and passing a resolution. Next comes the individual responsibility of each and every country. That how do they act as a responsible state and collectively work towards the humanitarian crisis and how to resolve them. When an individual country does not follow its civic responsibilities and does not act like a responsible state, what international organizations can do? They do not have their own armies. They cannot invade. That's not the purpose of having an international organization. All the international organizations do is that they raise their voice, and they continuously keep on raising their voice, and they slowly and steadily start increasing pressure. This was a long process that we were able to be successful after passing a resolution on Islamophobia. There was a long-lasting effort behind that. And as a result of our concerted efforts, we were able to have a day to counter Islamophobia. You see, these are small steps. In international organizations, whenever we try to operate, we focus on our small steps, and then we focus on our larger goals. So as regard the follow-up mechanism is concerned, what we do is that, there is a diplomatic process, there is a bureaucratic structure, and then there is continuous diplomatic efforts to raise pressure. How do we raise pressure? We keep on repeating things. We keep on giving statements. Diplomats, what do diplomats do? They give their statements and they raise pressure. They represent the official standing of any country about any particular issue. And that's what diplomats do. Then if the country does not follow the path, then obviously then there is an other mechanism as well, which is defined by the United Nations. And obviously there is the process of sanctions, and then there is another procedure and everything. But in my opinion, what I see, that the most important thing any diplomatic international organization can do is to raise their voice. And why the voice of OIC is important, there are 57 Islamic states. No matter anybody admits it or not, these are powerful voices. There is a huge population, almost 1.5 billion or more, if I'm not wrong. So there are voices, these are important. And if we keep on raising that voice, sooner or later, inshallah, the result will come. It may take time, but the result will come. And you talked about Palestine. So unfortunately, the issue of Palestine has been severely complicated. And despite all the efforts, it's very difficult. The way countries operate, again, I would reiterate my position that what we can do is we just can keep on raising our voices. Pakistan has been extremely vocal about Palestine. And it's adamant to the fact that we do not have any diplomatic relations with Israel, while many other Islamic countries do have their relations with Israel, right? So what we can do individually and what we can do collectively. Individually, Pakistan has been extremely vocal, and collectively, we are also raising voice at each and every international organization so that the voices are heard. So the diplomatic process is slow, Astrid, but I hope that it will bring results in future. And for boost, for follow-up, it's very important that all the countries collectively realize their responsibilities and start acting towards that. So only in that case, the organization's voice will gather importance. And another important factor is the economic independence, the economic standing of any country. I would see that hopefully, inshallah, in the future, our Islamic countries will also have better or financial and economic standing to exert their influence and pressure over the other countries to, raise their voices for these issues that are very important. So for Afghanistan, obviously, we were able to do this because we had support from other international organizations and other countries as well. But there are certain issues on which we are working towards that. We are working to gain that support that is needed to achieve the other objectives. So I hope, inshallah, in future, if we keep on raising our voices, we will be able to boost the voice and we'll be able to achieve the desired result. I hope it satisfies you. I tried my best to answer. So
Yes, thank you so much for your answer. I mean, it gives an insight to us as youth, like, after the outcomes, what next, what comes after, and there's a lot of work behind the scenes, of course, on ensuring not only the efficiency of the proceedings throughout the event, but after the event. And again, it's like example of leadership on a national level and how to influence countries to be on the same board, or at least hear our voice as well. And now we have a question for Mr. Sahatul Hassan and Dr. Hussein Kashiri, actually, because you all represent Asia, which is the largest continent, and it's one of the most, well, we observe that one of the most dynamic and active geography of the youth, not only like globally, but also in the OIC. Like, there's a huge demography. And as representative of, the board member of ICYF ERC, we'd like to ask like your thoughts on whether all of, issues within Asia have been, discussed like with as it should, or are there any things that perhaps could have been given more highlight and spotlight, perhaps by the leaders of the OIC? That's the first part of the question as the representative of Asia, and the second is that respectively in Pakistan and Iran, these countries have been very active in the field of youth with respect to hosting events. For example, Pakistan has always been active, has always held important positions in the board leadership of ICYF, and also with the activities. So there are many experience of obviously advocating for youth issues with respect to the OIC level. And the same actually goes to Iran, because Iran has been the host of the OIC Youth Capital, namely in 2017 in Shiraz, as well as the host of Model OIC in 2016, and also Pakistan as well as host of Model OIC in 2018. So as observers from Indonesia and as youth from Indonesia, we see that these countries have been exemplary actually in the field of like youth in the OIC. So we'd like to have your perspective on, again, it all goes to how the advocating goes, how the youth are effective in following up after they attend meetings, they report to the seniors in the decision-making level to advocate, and so that they are more concerned on OIC issues on various aspects in the capacity, not only material support, but even morale support, right? So your perspective is that, so what we like to ask is your perspective about the decision making. So is top down more effective, or is bottom up equally important? Because when we look into the decision making of international organizations as well, like what we see, how the world responds to the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, how the boycott has been very swiftly widespread. So it and not only in the political level, but also affecting the economic, even sports is affected with the boycotts and the sanctions. So we see that it's also a matter of political will. Like when those that are in charge have one collective stance, then it's important to and it's more faster to give higher impact. And that principle is actually what the activists of boycott, divestment, sanction movement regarding Palestine and Israel has been always wanted to aim, that we see affecting Russia at some level. So what is your perspective on that? If the youth are active, but those at the higher up perhaps are not that concerned, what is actually the best way to do that? And the reason being is that, yes, political will is important, but perhaps you can share your perspective based on your experience on advocating on how those at the higher level, be it in the executive or the legislative, can give attention to the issues raised by youth. So that's my question to Mr. Sahat and Dr. Hussein.
I would request Dr. Kashiri, the senior person, please.
No, please, please. You are host country, Mr. Fasar. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, sure, no problem. So I think there are three parts of the question. First one is like what can be improved in the or what is being missed in terms of, because as I said, like my focus always has been young people. So I would say definitely within the OIC system, there is a huge need to actually have youth integration. And I always being supported and happy to see the young diplomats like Excellency Masuma, and of course in back home in Pakistan as well, we always get a lot of support from the young diplomats. So that is one of the great, how to say, hope for young people, particularly as in terms of Pakistani context, but at the same time as an OIC, being part of the OIC system. So that is one thing that definitely there is a huge need, and there is a gap to have young voices into the systems. Because look, if there is 30% of young people are not being integrated, it means you are missing 30% of that part. And of course, there is other segregations of the population within the OIC geography. So that is the first one. I would say, like, definitely we can improve on many aspects within that. But at the same time, as you know, the OIC has a huge agenda with a lot of conflicts within Asian region. If we look at Afghanistan, we had recently issues in Armenia and Azerbaijan, between Armenia and Azerbaijan in Caucasus, and then we have Yemen there in Arab areas, and we have Kashmir, of course, the most and the long pending issues between India and Pakistan, where India has been illegally occupied a part of Kashmir without the wills of Kashmiri people, and of course the Palestine itself. So there are issues which has its own importance, but at the same time we should not ignore the other relevant issues which may help us in resolving those issues. So I think as an Asian region, with this diversity, with its potential, and with the population, of course, we can achieve a lot with the unified voices and with collective efforts. There is no doubt in that. If we look at even UN with the G77 or within the OIC with, as an Asian group, definitely we have achieved a lot. But I believe that we can achieve more than what have been what has been done so far. The last one about your point that what and how we can as an ICYF, I believe, because as a multilateral organization, OIC, and of course being part of its youth body, I think it's very important for us to keep involving our governments and keep pushing them. As I said, like we always, as a young person, I believe all the young people, we need to keep moving, even if there is no response. That is what I have learned so far. I mean, recently, I would just like to give an example that during this CFM, even though I was not in Pakistan physically, but I was able to actually arrange 2 high-level meetings for ICYF delegate with the Honorable Excellency Minister for Religious Affairs to actually push the government that how government of Pakistan can actually organize something for young people in Pakistan. Pakistan has never hosted the OIC Youth Capital, even though Pakistan, the young population in Pakistan is more than 60%, frankly speaking, if we count from 0 to 35 years. So it is more than 64%, even I think maybe now it's 70%. So I think as a young person, not only from coming from Pakistan, but for everybody from Asian region or worldwide, the most important role that young people can play is keep doing. Do not lose your hope. keep doing whatever small steps you can take. If you get some backlashes, do not get distracted, do not lose your hope. Just keep moving with small steps and keep trying with innovative. There is social media. There is we can adopt a lot of methodologies or ways to communicate with governments. As I said, I mean, again, the Pakistan example, that I always have been receiving a lot of support from young diplomats from around the world, even if it's from Turkey, from back home in Pakistan, or abroad in the missions. So being a young person, getting support from young diplomats has always been a player, and I'm sure that it will be the same for everybody in Asia and beyond. So I hope that I could cover most of your part of the questions, but if there is anything else, I would love to respond that. One last thing, I think there is a message from a question from a participant as well. I hope you would be able to look at that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Mr. Sahat, and your insight as well. Regarding the previous question, we'd like to give the floor to Dr. Kashiri to answer.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Brother Fasahat, for express very important points. But for me as an academician, I would like to express some, not advice, but some keywords and key points about the promotion of young people engaging in policy. When we want to enter to policy environment, we should equip ourselves by some weapons now in the period of this time in all of the world. The first is to promote ourselves in media and analysis of data regarding to media for policy, and we should promote ourselves how we can analysis and data analysis about the events and some occurrence in all of the world about the policy. Also, we can promote ourselves by participation in volunteerism and volunteer activities to keep in touch closely with the concept of policy and the difficulty of making decision and the complicated situation when we get a role in model of OIC. Young people experience how is difficult to engage and analysis of data as for example foreign minister to solve some problems and as a diplomat. And I want to give this advice and also this comment to promote young generation about media also through volunteerism and engaging in the program in like Academy of Diplomacy we have in ICYF for increasing the knowledge of young generation in policy. The second point I would like to mention is, as you mentioned about Iran activities in ICYF for as a youth capital in Shiraz, we host this event, and also, as you know, recently ICYF introduced Kazan as a youth capital. The main point is to promotion identity of youth in Muslim countries, and I think that this activity like youth capital or some celebration of youth is the best reason and the best things can improve the identity and also familiar with the culture and the root of Muslim countries. So without this familiarism and without these activities, we cannot expect the young generation to analyze the some events in all of the world. Especially you mentioned examples about recent in Russia, in Ukraine, in some another countries about conflicts or struggles or difficulties, and also we also in Iran about the agreement and talk with the Europe and West about the nuclear activities. So I think that it's our duty as a board member, as an activist, as a academician to equip the young generation with the knowledge, with pushing them to touch policy more, also in media complicated and also activities in this field. And I think that ICYF and ICYF ERC is the best place for people want to increase and promote their knowledge regarding to policy, and who want to participate and engage as a diplomat in near future in their country, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kashiri, for your answer. And now we proceed to the questions raised by the audience. There are two. Firstly, is about policy plans. So perhaps we can ask Your Excellency, Ms. Masuma, to answer this question. The question is, what are some of the policy plans of the OIC for us, the youth in the non-OIC members country, as we face lack of opportunities due to our religion as Muslims? Education and empowerment opportunities are being given to churches for their members, leaving us out. And the second question is from Rahib Kadil. As a youth in my country, what better programs related to young Muslims or non-Muslims? Any suggestions or recommendations? Thank you. So perhaps the second question we can ask Mr. Zahat and Dr. Hussein to answer. Yeah, so we are in the first round of question. And after that, we can give the floor for Hafiz to give question directly. So perhaps to Ms. Masuma, you can answer the question.
Okay. The question is regarding policy plans of OIC for the youths of non-IC member countries. I assume that OIC Secretariat must have chalked out certain plans for inclusion of youth from non-Muslim, non-OIC member countries. But unfortunately, I'm not aware of these kind of plans because OIC Secretariat works independently, and I have been posted in Jakarta, so I'm not aware of the actual plans especially formulated for non-OIC member youth. But in general, what I can say is that, as Mr. Fasahat has pointed out, that keep on doing whatever you're doing right now. Do not expect others or wait for others to plan something for you. You can start individually, and then people can join you in all. There are many activities that do not require you to be of any particular member of any particular organization. Youth of each and every country can chalk out certain plans for themselves. There are many activities in which they can indulge in, and as it's very highly unfortunate that the thing that he has pointed out, that there are certain opportunities that are being given to some other people, and Muslims do not have access to many opportunities. So what Muslims can do is that they can join in, and through collective effort they can start some sort of activities that do not require that much of financial resources, but they can do many things on their own, especially in this era of social media. Many things are possible. without involving a lot many resources. So most important thing is that while you're focusing on your education, try to find out certain organizations who are providing education free of cost to a lot many individuals who are not from privileged class or something. Similarly, same is the case with certain extracurricular activities that are organized for the youth regardless of their religion. So they can join in these activities, and I hope that OIC Secretariat and OIC as an organization would also try to formulate certain policies for inclusion of youth of Muslim youth of non-OIC members as well. So I hope it answers the question that he's asked for.
Yes, thank you for your answer. And now we proceed to the next question regarding programs related to young Muslims or non-Muslims. So for any perhaps a suggestion for programs.
Sure, thank you very much. I think I would just like to add what Excellency Masuma just mentioned. Currently, I'm based in Canada, and here in Canada, actually, there was a lot of Islamophobic incidents happening. And just as I'm sharing an example for the person who asked the question, that as a Muslim community, we were not looking forward for the government to provide us the resources, but actually we get together and we organize like at least series of online events, and we push the government to take actions, So that collective effort of the Muslim community within the Canada actually forced the government of Canada to not only take action, but I think Canada is one of the first Western countries who actually announced that the government of Canada will have a special representative or advisor on Islamophobia or for the Muslims. So it was one of the best examples for many Muslims living in non-OIC member states or the Muslim minority countries. At the same time, I would also like to mention that ICYF also provides the opportunities to the young people who are coming from the non-OIC member states or the Muslim minority countries. And they can also, as Excellency mentioned, that this is the era of internet. You can simply Google and find out different opportunities, not only within your own country, but within ICYF as well. You can just Google it and you can find out many opportunities that are being provided to the young people without any discrimination, even if you are coming from the non-OIC member states. Besides, as it is also linked with the question that you asked me, so I think the best opportunity for young people is MOIC, the model OIC, where you can not only interact with the young people from within your own country, if you are from OIC member state, and most of the OIC member states now has MOIC. So that is one of the opportunities where you can definitely join in and learn a lot of skills, interact with different young people coming from different backgrounds. And at the same time, you would be able to learn how to interact or contribute into the multilateral processes. Besides that, ICYF Secretariat based in Istanbul and ICYF's ERC Secretariat based in Azerbaijan, in Baku, also provides a lot of opportunities for young people based on the relevant OIC geography. So, of course, I can drop my email address if somebody from Asia or even beyond have any questions. Of course, you can ask me directly in that way. Otherwise, as I said, there are a lot of opportunities for young people. And I also encourage young people in Pakistan and, of course, outside as well, that you can also create opportunities for young people. There is no need to actually wait for some other organizations if you do not have access to. So you can also create you can take small steps. Maybe you can start teaching to somebody, or if you are not educated, if you have any skill, maybe you can start sharing that skill with other young people. Even if that is not possible, what minimum we can do is we can spread the message of peace, which is for that maybe you don't need even any skill or or education or anything related to that. So yeah, so that is the message from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sahat, for your explanation and insight about opportunities and activities that we as youth can find and take from the already existing platforms and how we can also create opportunities as well. And now we proceed to Dr. Kashiri to give your take on the question about activities and how we can include more youth to be involved, because yeah, the youth are a very dynamic and energetic demographic, and they have a lot to offer actually.
Yes, I think that non-governmental organizations are the best place to participation of young people for touch more with the activities regarding to the policies, or maybe non-political activities. For example, in Iran, one of the most important plan to increase and give more permission for non-governmental organization activity regarding to social activities, environmental, regarding to heritage, tourism. And I think that young people can start to familiar with the concept from a non-governmental organization, and also in non-Muslim countries. I think that the brothers and sisters want to engage more in the capacity of some issues in OIC, can keep in touch with the minority of countries that we have in ICYF as international organizations. Brother Faisal had introduced one of them in Canada, or we have very many examples in other countries. The second point is, as our brother Faisal had mentioned, is MOIC. I think that it is a very good example for this plan for promoting. And also we in Iran, we will host after Ramadan, inshallah, and I would like to invite all of the participants in this event to announce their tendency to participate hybrid, in virtual or physical, face-to-face, in the role of young generation after, inshallah, after COVID-19 issue. And there is this topic for as a MOIC in Iran, inshallah, for next 2 or 3 months, to starting step by step solve the and give the solutions for solving the problems, as you know, we faced in during the COVID-19. So also we have in in the half of the New Year of Iran, we have the Islamic Phobia Conference, also with the participation and the support of ICYF. And also I would like to push and invite all of you to participate in this very important concept and issue in the all of the world. And also, as Brother Fasad mentioned, you can also look at the website of ICYF, also the Instagram, to familiar with the next program we will have, inshallah, in 2022. And I think the closest program is the Quran competition, and this is the first time we have this event as a cultural and religious activity for engaging the people in the activities that increase their spiritual and knowledge, and also engagement with the social and cultural activities.
Thank you, Dr. Kashiri, for sharing your insight as well as updates on future events, upcoming events in Iran that we as youth can hopefully take part in. And we are also informed that Mr. Saad has to leave within a few minutes, but perhaps before that, we would like to ask him for like final or closing statement, like any things that you'd like to emphasize and share with us in the forum.
I think I would say thank you to everybody, especially to the OIC Youth Indonesia for organizing this kind of important event. Because I believe like if we keep engaging with young people, will also provide an opportunity for us to learn from them as well. So I thank you again for providing me the opportunity to share the floor with the Excellency and Brother Kashiri as well. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody in the future as well. I have just dropped my email address in the chat, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer afterwards. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sahad. It's a pleasure for us to have you here to learn from you, and sure, the audience can note down the email that he has already shared for questions and other queries. We have one question from Hafiz, and he'd like to ask it to Ms. Masuma. And perhaps Hafiz, you can turn on your mic if you want, so that you can convey the question directly.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Astrid, for the chance. And hello, everyone. Good night. My name is Hafiz. I'm from Indonesia, and I would like to ask a question to Ms. Masuma. Ms. Masuma, previously you mentioned that during the two-day conference of the foreign ministers of the OIC member states in Pakistan, there was like several issues that were mentioned, if I'm not wrong, like for the issue of Kashmir and also Palestine. And I would like to ask about one issue that I think that is it discussed or not in the conference, and it is about the status of Afghanistan, because I believe that it has been almost a year since the takeover of Afghanistan by the Taliban. And sorry to ask this, but during the conference in the foreign minister conference in Pakistan, was there any discussion regarding the situation in Afghanistan, and was there like any some sort of agreement on the final declaration by the foreign ministers about the situation in Afghanistan?
For your question, I already mentioned in my presentation that situation of Afghanistan was discussed in the 48th session of Council of Foreign Ministers meeting, and it was a part of the declaration as well. Basically, the extraordinary session that was called in December 2021, which was also hosted by Pakistan, which was focusing on the situation of Afghanistan and the crisis, humanitarian crisis that arose because of extreme hunger, poverty, and other issues that are being faced by people of Afghanistan. Those were discussed in this extraordinary session that was held in December 2021, and there were certain decisions that were taken in that meeting. So in this meeting, which was held in 22nd, 23rd March, the follow-up on these decisions were taken. And in that December 2021 meeting, it was agreed that a special humanitarian fund will be established with the help of Islamic Development Bank for the situation in Afghanistan. And in this session, it was informed that this humanitarian fund for Afghanistan has been established with the help of Islamic Development Bank. And coordination from Nigeria has also been noted in that fund. So yes, Afghanistan situation was discussed in this, and this is also available in the Islamabad Declaration. I would also like to mention that all the written statements related to the 48th Council of Foreign Ministers meeting that are available not only on Ministry of Foreign Affairs Pakistan's official website, but are also available on OIC's official website. Furthermore, they're also available on the official Twitter handle of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson. So if anyone who is interested in having more insight into that and having a detailed knowledge about it, you can go and visit all those Twitter pages. And you can also visit the official website, and the Islamabad Declaration is available over there. And once you will read it out, you will come to know that, the particular issue of Afghanistan has been addressed. So I hope that satisfies your answer.
Yes, thank you so much and for your answer and your insight as well. Dear audience, brothers and sisters, friends and colleagues, we have reached the end of this panel. But before we end, we'd like to ask and give the floor for the panelists for a closing statement, like any messages that you'd like to convey and emphasize. First, we'd like to give the floor to Dr. Kashiri for the closing statement, and then followed by Your Excellency, Ms. Masuma. So to Dr. Kashiri, you may have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to express my sincere thanks for this invitation, and that was very fruitful meeting also for myself. And I hope that this concept will continue, inshallah, in the near future to promotion and to increasing knowledge of young generation in political issues. And also I would like to thank OIC Indonesia for very good activities during last year. Also, I participated in very good meeting, and I would like to thank my brother Tantan Tawfiq, the Vice President of ICYF, for pushing this kind of program in Indonesia. Also cover other countries to make a unity regarding the OIC geography issues. As I mentioned in my words, I think that politicians have no alternative for not consider people, young generation in the make a decision, because I think that next generation will show that with the observation of young, we can improve all issues better and we can make future better. Thank you very much, all of participants, and thank you for attention to my words.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kashiri. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Always an honor as well to have your insight and your enlightenment. We can say Aufklärung, and you know, your valuable time as well. Thank you so much. And now we give the floor to Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali for her closing statement.
I just would like to say that I had a wonderful experience here. It was a pleasure and honor to speak with such vibrant and dynamic youth, and to address about the latest development that happened in Pakistan. And I hope I was able to explain the key outcomes and deliverables of the 48th CFM that was held in Pakistan. I think I would really like to thank the Forum of OIC Youth for providing us this opportunity to interact with all of you, and I would love to interact in future as well. I would just like to thank each and every one of you for listening to me and joining us all here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Masuma, for your closing statement. And dear brothers and sisters, we have reached the end of the panel session. We hope you have learned a lot, as I did. We hope that you have more, not only insight, but also noted down in your calendar as well for future events, be it in Pakistan or Iran, be it hybrid or even offline, inshallah. So with that, I give the floor back to my colleague, Brother Diaz, as the master of ceremony.
Also, I would like to thank you as a moderator of this meeting, and I think that you are as a very good example of engaging young people in the very political meeting as a moderating, diplomatic, and very good. And also, inshallah, I wish you as a general secretary of one of the international organizations in the future in Indonesia or all of the world.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Dr. Kashiri. I mean, we always learn from our seniors, and it's a pleasure to hear that from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the moderator, Ms. Astrid Nadia Rizkita, our president in OIC Indonesia, for such a wonderful and excellent moderating within the panelist session. Hopefully, all the participants able to follow and listen the discussion smoothly, clearly, and also without any disturbance, so that you can all able to understand the message and also the insight from each of the panelists given from their presentation. So it will give you more idea of creativity inspired by their speech in the future, especially for the question about the future plan, what kind of creativity planning, especially for Muslim community in non-OIC member states. Hopefully, this webinar will give you insight, will give you an idea, so that you can able to create those kind of medium for all the Muslim youth to able to express themselves, especially at the times that we need media to able to express ourselves. We need more opportunities so we can able to express, and also we need to have a good solidarity between international organization, for example, like the ICYF, the Youth Council in each member states, so that we can also have the role providing those kind of media for all the youth in each of the member states, especially the Muslim community in the non-OIC member states. So we'd like to give a thank you once again to Ms. Astrid Rizkita, our President of OIC Indonesia, our moderator today. And also I would like to give thank you for all the speakers in the panelist session, Ms. Masuma Bushra Ali, Mr. Fasad Uya Hassan, and also Dr. Hossein Kashiri for providing an excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Hopefully we meet again in the next session, in the next our agenda. For the next agenda, you can follow us in our Instagram and keep updating us each days, so that you can able to stay in touch with our agenda, so that you can able to follow our upcoming events, so you would miss a chance from us. Okay, so this is Madesta Budi Pradana now signing off. Thank you. But before we close, let's say hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayat. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is Madesta Budi Pradana signing out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam.